Welcome to the Vert and Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Vert. Hope everybody had a good week. Here comes the college football playoffs. Here comes the transfer portal news. We got our guy G Sports in via video chat. What's good, G? How you been, man? Tell us what's been going on.
Everything good, man. I'm seeing the free agency frenzy going on in college football. It's been the wild wild west like we've known it to be over the last few years, and nothing seems to surprise me when you start talking about these guys that's hopping in the portal and guys switching teams within conference. It's just been a crazy week and a half.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And LSU fans, it just got that much more interesting for you with the new transfer announcement from Sage Ryan. The safety announces, hey, you know what? I'm going to Ole Miss. I'm going to stay in the SEC. Let's keep it competitive. I'm going to keep that level of play. And he's going to stay in the conference. Honestly, he's staying in the division. I know we got rid of divisions and the SEC doesn't do it anymore, but hey, it's still the SEC West. To me, that's still a rival, Magnolia Bowl. And Osage Ryan is going to go down to Mississippi. G, what's your instant thoughts? I believe Pete Nakos just dropped it. How are you reacting to that?
Happy for Sage Ryan to be able to get him another opportunity with his last year of football. Pete Golden, Louisiana guy who's the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure he has some familiarity with Sage. I think he's just going to bring some experience to that secondary and some depth. But him going to Ole Miss, I don't think that affects LSU one way or the other. No disrespect to Sage Ryan, I think he's a solid player, but I don't think he's somebody that LSU is going to be worried about when they face off against Ole Miss next year.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see when people from LSU enter the portal. It's always exciting to see where they go. I mean, guys like Kamori and Pimpton and guys like Kylan Jackson, we've watched them on their visit tour. I believe Kylan's at TCU, Pimpton floating
Yep.
around that, it's his hometown, stomping grounds. But got Rickie Collins news. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk about another LSU Tiger that entered the portal. Let's get this up for you. AJ Swan portaling out. And then they did get an addition yesterday. It's not a big addition. It's not an addition that you're going to write home about, but it's something that could be a gradual increase. I mean, any improvement is an improvement nonetheless. What do they say? 1% better every day. And with Grant Chadwick, punter from Middle Tennessee, that special teams unit could have potentially got that much brighter. Now with the AJ Swan decommitment, first things first, I'm not really surprised. I mean, we saw the
Yeah.
outcome in the Oklahoma game, and it just didn't look like it was going to get that much better for him. I mean, I feel like he was going to, at best, serve as like a quarterback 2, maybe a quarterback 3. I don't think he really had a clear future, but what I do think this was to potentially get his name out there, potentially get his brand out there. I don't know. G, what do you think about the situation? Where could AJ go? There's a couple of schools that might be interested. I don't know.
Uh, AJ Swan, I mean, when he came over from Vanderbilt last year, I never anticipated him being a starting quarterback at LSU whatsoever. I think he's a backup at best, unless he decides to go down a level. I think Sun Belt Conference USA, the WAC, conferences like that. I think he will be suited for a lot of different programs. So, I think that was the best opportunity for him to get on in the transfer portal and move on, especially with the kid from Mississippi State, Michael Van Buren, coming in, and he's seen the writing on the wall. So I think he did what was best for him. And adding the punter Grant Chadwick, I think that was a good addition, man. You always want to have somebody to come in and be able to flip the field position. I think he was like top 5 or top 7 in punting net average last year in the country. So I'm sure Brian Kelly and a special teams unit is going to be glad to have him for next year.
Yeah, got to show some love. Punting was one of the more conversational topics, at least in terms of position switches or position battles. I mean, you had the transfer Blake Oschendorf, you had Peyton Todd, you had a couple of pieces that you were looking at really all summer. And obviously, it panned out in Blake's favor. But I think, having another piece in the back pocket doesn't hurt at all. Let's move on to this interesting situation. Now, I'm not going to ring the panic alarms. I'm not going to make it seem like something it isn't, because it's probably a very, very small, reasonably explainable situation. But some of you have brought it to my attention. There's been some murmurs on Twitter, and I just had to address it. So Mansour Delane, Virginia Tech corner, announced obviously that he's committing to LSU after entering the transfer portal, and he tweets on his profile, as we have in the bottom of this graphic, straight business, let's work, all this stuff. However, everybody knows LSU football, their social medias, they've been posting official graphics as they did with Grant Chadwick yesterday. So Manzor not having a graphic is not something I would immediately sweat about. It's not something I would immediately get worried about. A simple explanation could probably be the papers just haven't officially been signed. But I did want to kind of just give a little bit of attention to it because the fans have been worrying. I mean, is this anything that we should be sweating about? Is he having second thoughts? Is the NFL coming calling? What would be this situation? What I don't understand.
You never know what's going on, man. He might be trying to get all the numbers straight with the NIL before he actually signs his name on the dotted line. He could possibly be talking to Virginia Tech and hearing they spill about trying to bring it back and trying to up the ante of their NIL money over what LSU offered him. A lot of different things could be coming into play. But you bring up the NFL draft, a lot of different analysts and different reports I've read, people had him as a top 3 round pick. So you never know what's being told to him. You never know what's being told to him. I think he's going to be an LSU Tiger from what I'm hearing from my sources inside that building at LSU, that he will be an LSU Tiger. I think it's more so about them trying to get the numbers lined up right NIL-wise before he actually sends the paperwork over. I think that's what it really comes down to.
That makes sense. That eases a lot of worries because otherwise, I mean, if there's more schools feeling offers, if there's more people trying to get into the pot, then you might get a little worried. I had a feeling it was more so like that. And we got Moose Ford in the chat asking a question. If he decides to go to the NFL, could we get Tack Davis?
I think that'll be something they revisit if Delane decides not to come. But I think Delane is going to be an LSU Tiger. I think you'll see him wearing that purple and gold. I don't think it's time for Tiger fans to panic right now.
And it makes a lot of sense for him too, because I mean, we're talking about a 3rd round pick, and obviously, you're before testing. You got a lot of measurables to get out the way before draft day would arrive. But coming to LSU, in my opinion, if your stock's already at this point, seems like a no-brainer that you would be considered a day 1 pick if all things go correctly according to plan. I mean, I don't know what the immediate DB rotation would be, but you'd imagine it would be him and Stamps, or even him and Pickett. But it seems like he'd have, his share of the fun. He's going to be able to get in there and get reps, be a for sure starter. And I feel like Corey Raymond's got some interesting things planned for him. I feel like this would be one of the biggest grabs of this entire portal. Quite frankly, I'm not gonna lie.
I like Jakeem Jackson too, man. Do not sleep on him. I think it's going to be a healthy competition this spring and when fall camp rolls around. But, when it comes to Delane, man, I think coming back another year will definitely solidify him as a top 30, possibly top 40 pick in next year's draft. So hopefully he understands that. I think that's why you see him want to come to LSU under somebody like Corey Raymond and put himself in position to be it.
Yeah, that's a talented room. And Corey Raymond's got a lot of people to be able to develop. And the first full year under Coach Raymond, his return, it's looking good. It's looking promising, that's for sure. They got 2 more visits on the way this weekend, as far as I know of. I'm sure there's a couple of others. But Sadir Mitchell, defensive tackle from Texas, and then the number 2 overall transfer, an edge from Florida State, Patrick Payton. Now, obviously, both of these would be big gets. Both of these are depth pieces you need. I mean, who's complaining about adding beef to the trenches? Nobody, especially when that was a point where LSU fans wanted Brian Kelly and the Tigers to attack in the portal. And here they are going gung-ho, pretty much all hands on deck on some of the biggest prospects. I feel like if you get some of these pieces, here's a couple of questions you can ask. One, if LSU's defense turned around that quick with pretty much just retaining production and not really implementing any new pieces or any new recruits or what have you, then this, growth trajectory, I think, is even bigger. And then 2, we haven't really heard an official confirmation yet from Harold Perkins if he's coming back. Does something like this help him? Does something like this make him say, all right, cool, I think LSU's loading up and we're in the right direction? Is he holding out? Is he waiting for, potentially to see who they pair alongside him? Is his situation entirely different? What do you think is going on with that?
Like I've said all along, people I've I know that's pretty close to how they say he's coming back next year. Why he hasn't announced it, who knows? Uh, I think when you talk about Harold, I don't think he's more so considering going to the draft. I think he's more so thinking about, are y'all gonna compensate me for coming back? And I
Right.
think that's what a lot of things. That's what a lot of these conversations um, that these guys that's considering coming back or leaving are having with these schools. And it's like free agency, bro. There's a lot of negotiating going on, and I'm pretty sure they got a lot of different universities that wants Harold Perkins services, and they might be telling him, "Look, we'll offer you this if you come here." And he's probably trying to see if LSU can match it, or if not, give him more. So I don't think it's an option for him to go to the league, from what I'm hearing. I think it's about him getting compensated accordingly for coming back next year. The kid Sadira Mitchell, he didn't play a whole lot last year at Texas. Big kid, 6'6", 350 pounds. I know he has a ton of upside, but I think the kid Peyton from Florida State, who had a lot of production, who was a really, really good player, I think he's more important and somebody they need to really, really make sure they get to sign versus Sadil Mitchell. Because you know what you're getting. We don't know what we're gonna get from Sadil Mitchell. We don't know.
That's a
We
good point.
we know he has a ton of upside. We know he has the size and the measurables, but we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty with him. So I think the kid Peyton from Florida State is somebody that they cannot afford not to sign, because you add him added on to the guy Butler from Nebraska
Mm-hmm.
and the guy from
Jamari.
Florida we just added. Man, you talking about a nice 7-man front that's going to be
Yep.
really, really tough to block in the SEC.
And you can get creative with that. I think that's pretty much one of the last things they needed. Obviously, they need more help at safety. We'll get to that in the next section, but I want to get to a couple comments real quick. Marie's in the chat asking, does Gabe Relaford decide to depart if we go get another D end in front of him? Talking about just the talent, the depth, the accumulation of prospects that could potentially want some playing time. And he's wondering if adding people like this is going to make that foggy. I mean, I'll answer real quick. I'll let you answer, G, but I'm thinking in this instance, in this position, the more experienced people you have to guide players like that and help, not necessarily hold their hand because they don't need it, but help them kind of see the way that these players work at this level, at this point. I feel like, going in and having young prospects is good, but I think also having them develop at a steady pace is equally beneficial. I mean, there's a lot of young talent that has kind of gotten into college football and instantly been able to have success. But I mean, even in schemes like Alabama and Georgia, a lot of those defensive talents and defensive stars wait their time, grind it out, and kind of sit there and learn for a few years. So I think it could be a benefit, and it's all about the character. What do you think, G?
I think Gabe Rutherford should stay put, man. If you're a true freshman this year at LSU, and you see them, they bringing in experienced guys, I don't think this is a reason for you to be concerned. If you was a junior or going into your last year of college football, yeah, I probably would be worried and probably would be considering getting into the transfer portal. I think this is going to help the development of somebody like Gabe Rutherford, right? You bring some experienced guys, they can show you the way, they can show you how to do things. And I don't think this means Gabe Rutherford doesn't get time next year. He'll probably be one of the first guys rotating in. And now you keep those fresh bodies. And that's what you need in the SEC, man. You need depth. I think that's what you see from a team like Georgia, who wears you down all game because they're able to rotate their guys on a 7-man front and keep guys fresh. And then by the time the fourth quarter come, they wearing you down. They wearing you down. So I think somebody like Rutherford and Dylan Carpenter and Kalaj Cobbins. Who else we got that's on the edge? That's the only ones I can think that come to mind that's young. But you know, these guys could be some of these guys that's rotated in for these experienced guys. And I think if Blake Baker and Bo Davis can keep these guys locked in and have some packages for them here and there where they can play about, maybe 15 snaps a game, I think that's good for the development. And because the guy Peyton, he's not gonna be that long. The kid from Florida that's coming,
Jack.
Jack Pilburn, yeah, he's not gonna be there that long. So, um, one more year of development not gonna hurt you. I think that
Yep.
puts you in good position to come that following year to be the guy in that room. And now you have a lot of experience, and now you learn from some guys that doing it that know how to do it the right way. They just gotta understand the big picture, man. They gotta understand the big
Mhm.
picture.
Yeah, I agree because, like, I mean, you hear a lot of people kind of compare the transfer portal to like a rent a player. You know what I mean? You only get a player for a little bit. They have already added experience and they've already kind of burnt their wick a little bit in college football. But I think they hold a lot of value. There's equal value. Obviously, you want to recruit the depth and have people sit there and develop. But in this age of college football, I'm not shying away from a player that might be a little cheap because he's already gotten some experience and he's already gotten his teeth cut. I mean, look, I'll take a discount. I'm frugal. We got some
Right.
more comments in the chat. Bo knows ask. This is a good question. I'll admit. At this point, do you use the money in the portal rather than paying Harold Perkins? And he added on it. He said, "Will Perkins feel comfortable enough to come back from the injury? Be willing to trust his ACL while playing the box? We know it definitely is a mental hurdle he'll need to get over. Of course. I mean, that's a huge injury. You know what I'm talking about? You're not just spraining something or minorly breaking something. I mean, your entire knee damn near just deconstructed inside of your body. So yeah, it'll take some time to get used to, but I don't think someone like Harold Perkins is going to be, completely different. He's not going to be able to just tap in and lock in. I think, you could forget about it. I've never experienced it, so I'm not exactly sure, but you'd have to imagine these players at this elite level, especially with this training and just the overall mindsets. I feel like he's ready for the challenge. I feel like he's capable to be able to handle it. And I feel like Blake Baker and company, I mean, look, if they get more time with a mind like this, especially a mind that was on the sideline, still involved, he's not out of it. You know what I mean? He's not off the
Right.
sideline just and just hanging around. I feel like this could have been maybe a blessing in disguise. It's always hard to say that, always, but trying to make a very, very negative into somewhat of a positive, this could have helped Harold Perkins kind of just understand that position maybe a little bit better. G, what do you think? And what do you think about that first question, talking about that portal?
So do we use the money on the portal instead of paying Perkins? Man, I think
Let's
you
talk about
gotta
the
pay
value.
Perkins. I think you
Yep.
gotta pay Perkins because you know what you're getting. He's proved it in the SEC. Yeah, I know people gonna say he didn't look that good the first 4 games of the year. Well, he was getting adjusted to that new linebacker role, and I thought that as the season went on, you was gonna see Harold start making plays, right? And I think him getting hurt, where he was able to sit back and go in these meetings and look at it from a different perspective because he's kind of a coach in a sense, right? I think that really enhanced him mentally. So when he comes for spring ball and he gets ready to go into fall camp, going into the season next year against Clemson in week 1, I think you're gonna see a Harold Perkins that's not out there thinking he's gonna be able to play fast. And so I think you got to give him that. You got to give him his bread and compensate him accordingly. Don't overpay for him, but pay him accordingly, right? Because I think him coming into next year, he's gonna be healthy, right? And he's gonna be one of the best players, not only on that team, but he's gonna be one of the best defensive players in the country. And
I agree.
I think you take care of him and make sure he's compensated within reason.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, look, let's look at it this way. If Harold Perkins left, now that's a position you have to address. Now you lose Harold Perkins and you lose Greg Penn. I mean, sure, you got Whit Weeks and Devon Keys, and Whit's a little more experienced than Devon. Devon just cut his teeth in the SEC. You're going to have to add if Perkins leaves. So my thought process is let's just take Harold Perkins aside. If you found out you could potentially get one of the best linebackers or just one of the best defensive players in college football, rather, and there was a little bit of a price tag, and this was a random player that LSU fans have never known before, I feel like everyone would be jumping up and down, screaming on Twitter, all caps, freaking out, telling a friend. They'd be all on board. But I feel like since it's Harold Perkins, they're a little bit worried because of what they've seen. And I feel like it's just ironic because the transfer, you haven't seen anything. I feel like what I've seen from Harold Perkins is not only the ability to adapt, the ability to be able to not only handle the pressure, because quite frankly, he had a season where everybody was looking at him to make a play, and he made a play. Then the next year, you change the position, same thing. Everybody's holding you that same standard. And it's tough to live with. People don't really understand that side of it, right? I feel like, anyway, my point being is that it's just crazy that Harold Perkins, being how good he is, the value that he holds, that people are wondering if he would be worth that money. I think it's a no-brainer. I think Harold Perkins could be one of the best LSU players ever for a reason. He's wearing number 7. I mean, that's a respect. You got to, when you make that decision and put that jersey on, it's a thought-out process, and a lot of people in Louisiana hold you to a very high standard. And if we're holding them to a high standard, I'm going to side with you, G. Give him that bag. Back the Brinks truck up a little bit for old Pert. Let's get it. I do want to talk to you about some of these safeties, though. I looked at the transfer portal, and there was 3 safeties that jumped in yesterday. And I'm like, all right, feeling froggy, because I think safety is your number one need now. I mean, maybe offensive line, maybe something else. But in my humble opinion, I think LSU has to go get a big safety. You missed on the Jacksonville State guy. You obviously have a couple of pieces here. Let me break them down real quick for you. You got Jaden Bonzu, 6'2", 205 pounds, sophomore from Ohio State. Didn't play much, just jumped in the portal. I think he's got potential, but like we were just saying, G, you don't know what you got, right? You don't got much game film. You just got high school film. You just got, word of mouth through practices, through camps. And when you're not on the field, it's really tough to judge. There is a safety that we've seen on the field. This one would be ironic. He guarded Kyron Lacey on the Ole Miss walk-off touchdown. Jaden Canday, 5'10", 175 pounds. He's a transfer from Ole Miss. He was actually at Tulane before Ole Miss. I think that's interesting. And this stat jumped off the stat sheet to me. 11 passes defended this year. Gee, he's getting active. I mean, look, is it a statistic that's going to make you freak out and call him the number one safety in the country? No. But he's doing something that I think LSU needs. Creating havoc in traffic, getting balls out of the air, being a surefire guy on that back end to be able to help that passing attack. Lastly, for the people that jumped in yesterday, Jalen Catalone, 5'11", 205 pounds, redshirt senior from UNLV. He's got the 4-star transfer rating for what it's worth. 96 tackles this year, 5 interceptions. That's damn good. Safety. 2 more names I'm going to throw at you real quick. Zion Branch from USC, redshirt sophomore, 6'2", 210 pounds. He's already visiting Georgia, so ouch. Because when Georgia's involved, especially on that defensive side, I think they got a leg up on you, I'll be honest. And then CJ Christian, this one might be a little bit of a reach, but I think there's value here. This reminds me of like a Richardson or a Zy Alexander. I mean, I feel like you got something here. CJ Christian, 6'1", 200 pounds, senior from FIU. He is visiting Washington right now, but he had 80 total tackles. And listen to this, G. Out of the 11 games he played in, 7 of them, he had 7+ tackles in. I mean, that's something you need. Open field tackling, help over, all across layers of the field. I know you got a lot of choices here, right? We pretty much rattled off every damn safety, but you've got all walks of life. You've got people from Ohio State waiting for an opportunity. And the last time LSU had a guy waiting for an opportunity from Ohio State that transferred, it worked out pretty good, but we ain't going to jump to those conclusions yet. I think you got some options at safety. I think you got some names that you could throw in a hat and hopefully shake up and pull. Do you think LSU gets any? Do you think LSU already has their eyes set on who they want at safety? What you thinking?
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, those safeties that you just named, they're not looking at any of those. I think that they're in a second tier of safeties that they might consider, trying to bring to Baton Rouge. They're looking at some safety that's in a couple safeties that's in the 12-team playoff. What's going to happen right now? I think you're going to see LSU kind of come at a standstill when you talk about bringing safeties in. Now, look, let's not forget about Deshaun Spears.
Right.
The true freshman is from Denham Springs. They're really, really high on him. I know he played a lot at the beginning of the year, and then toward the end of the season, he kind of wasn't getting as much as playing time. But they're high on him, and I think he's going to be really good for LSU. But once the 12-team playoff gets underway and some of these teams start losing, they have 5 days after they lose to be able to get in the transfer portal and figure out what they want to do. So I think you want to see LSU go that route. Those guys in the portal right now, I think that's the second tier bottom guys that they're gonna try to consider. They're gonna go after some of these guys that's in the 12-team playoffs. So be on the lookout for that. And I think they probably gonna add maybe 2, possibly 3 safeties out of the portal. And I think if they do that, man, I think they'll be fine on the back end, and then I think that roster will be complete.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's that last position I'm waiting on. If you get that, I'm thinking good things, but I'm gonna taper those expectations because I learned a lot this season. I've learned a lot about off-season predictions. Let's move on real quick. We're talking about something that I feel like is pretty related to what we were talking about earlier. Rickie Collins. We were wondering about Mansour Delane, just what they're working out. Rickie Collins has a similar situation. Obviously, on 3 reports, he commits to Syracuse, and then he comes out a day ago, probably the day of, saying, not official. G, what you're hearing, what you're thinking, and just please, like, let's talk about this era of the transfer portal and these situations. Because I mean, imagine telling somebody this 10 years ago. Imagine just breaking down this situation on Sports Center a decade or two ago in college football. We're in a very interesting time.
From what I'm being told, Rickie Collins will be signing with Syracuse. They're trying to get some last things finalized over there. And he probably will be announcing it with either at the end of the day or tomorrow. And kudos to Rickie, man. I think he's a hell of a talent, and I think he's going to go out there and really show that he's the type of quarterback that can lead a program and let people see why LSU brought him down to Baton Rouge and why he was highly touted coming out of high school. So shout out to him, man. I hope it all works out for him. As it pertains to the transfer portal, man, we just living in a trendy world. We living in a world where kids don't want to go through no adversity. We were living in a world where kids just, it's all about how much you can pay me instead of looking at the long term, like I've been talking about since this portal started. True freshmen that's on teams right now hopping in the portal, I think that they need to really, really sit back and evaluate what's going on. If you're a true freshman and you're redshirted this year, look, you got 4 years left. I understand you probably want to play right away, and you got your family at home and some of your peers wondering, like, man, when you gonna play? When you gonna play? When you gonna play? But everybody's path is different. You don't have talents that just come through your program like a Ryan Williams and a Jeremiah Smith that's able to play right out the gate out of high school and be a phenom like that. That's not common. That's like a needle in a haystack, right? And I think sometimes kids see them having that kind of success early on, and they think they should be having that kind of success. And it just don't work like that all the time. I think some kids need to understand, like, if you go back to how things was done when Saban was still coaching, right? His process was you got to go through the way he do things 2 years. Sometimes it might take you 3, but at the end, it ends up panning out for you. And people don't want to wait around anymore. People don't want to develop anymore. People just want to have overnight success. And sometimes that can hurt your development because you're not ready. You're not ready physically and you're not ready mentally. And I think that kids can't compare their situation to other prospects, other people they see around college football. I think when they stop doing that and start really paying attention to the whole grand scheme of things, I think you'll see more kids making better decisions. Stop making it all about the money, and think about how can I be set up long term. Am I getting coached the right way? Am I in a system that where I can flourish that highlights my attributes? Do I like living where I'm at? Because all that plays a part in your mental, man, when you're trying to be the best football player you could be. And I think if more kids start doing it, you'll see them staying put in, going through that process and end up developing the way they're supposed to, instead of just thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that's the money.
And you know what they say, comparison is a thief of joy. Just worry about what you got right now. Worry about what you got, worry about your process, and it's all going to work out. I wanted to say, please hit the thumbs up. If you're watching live, drop a comment. We'll get to all your questions throughout the stream. Follow my guy G Sports on Twitter at G_sports. And we're going to get into our college football playoff predictions. But real quick, wanted to shout out Happy Dad, the best taste and hard seltzer on the market. You know where to get it. Rouse's, Walmart, Albertsons, or you could shop online, get some merchandise. We got a code for you, 15% off. Use code Verdant15 at checkout and follow that link that we have in our description. Go get you that Happy Dad. Let's talk about these college football playoffs. Gee, this is my favorite time predicting football with you, man. We got some good picks. I call you Nostradamus.
Man, you got to start putting my record up here, man, so people can understand, man. I kind of know a little something.
Hold up. We got to start getting you this. We got to get you the strap, man. We got to get you the G pick of the week strap, baby. We on the way. We cooking something up. We scheming.
I don't know everything, man, but I know a little something.
You don't know everything, but you know about everything. We being humble over here. Let's something. Let's talk about Indiana and Notre Dame, right? Let me put this damn world title. I'm up. It's upside down. I'm disrespecting damn WWE over here. We got Indiana into the college football playoff. shocking everybody. I feel like this was not expected preseason. Nobody thought Cignetti was going to be able to do this, quite frankly. Maybe Cignetti thought it. Maybe people in Indiana thought it, but I'll give you my honest opinion. I did not think. This game tonight at 7 p.m., it'll be interesting, right? Indiana's offense looks very good. They didn't do well only twice this season. It was Ohio State. They only scored 15, and your boys at Michigan, they got a dub, but they only scored 20. It was 20-15, I believe, Indiana's win over Michigan. Very close game. Here's the thing about Notre Dame, their defense. They've only allowed 16 plus twice. USC and Louisville. USC, I believe, was about 2 weeks ago. I think Notre Dame has the ability to play the bully ball, chew the clock. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I'm going to take 24-14. You can look at the spread. We got a 7-point spread on Notre Dame. That's heavy as hell. Money line's minus 245. I say take that. Take that. I wouldn't take the over. It's at 51. It's going to be cold as hell. I think your safest pick is Notre Dame to win. And like I said, I'll go 24-14. I think Indiana's fire gets put out.
I'm going with the underdog.
Oh,
I'm going with Indiana. I think Indiana wins this one in a close one. Notre Dame's offense has been a little inconsistent all season long. I think that hurts them tonight. The cold weather is not going to bother Indiana. It gets cold as hell up there too, so that's not going to play a factor into this. I'm going with Indiana winning this game 27-23.
okay. So 50, you got it right under the total.
Mm-hmm.
Right total. Upset victory for the Hoosiers. They'd love to hear it. I think they played I believe they played Notre Dame 3 times. And I think the first time they ever played was a Cotton Bowl. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Let's move on to the one that starts the slate tomorrow, 11 a.m. kickoff, SMU versus Penn State. Now,
by the way, that's terrible. Like, how we have a college playoff game starting at 11 o'clock in the morning? Come on, really?
And you want to know what else is terrible, G? I'll give you it. Indiana, Notre Dame, South Bend, it being cold. I feel like Indiana can deal with it. But Dallas, Texas, SMU going to Penn State. You know what the low is tomorrow, G? 14. I'll die out there. Straight up. I'm dead. I got to wear 40 jackets. I'd have to have 50 pairs of gloves on, heat warmers under a heat lamp. Nothing would work out. They'd have to have an endless amount of heat supply for me out there. The low, I even went as far to compare the low in Dallas tomorrow. It'll be 38. It's almost half, G. I don't know. Look, I hopefully they got some dogs out there. I'd be a little chilly. I ain't going to lie. SMU, they've had a nice welcome to the ACC. That might warm them up. They've been on fire. They've had a nice little start. I know the conference championship didn't go the way they wanted it to, but I think they made a statement. I mean, I think going behind that much, kind of clawing back, kind of fighting, it obviously helped them get into this game. Here's the problem. Here's my problem with it, at least. I think Coach Franklin is out to make a statement. And I think that they're getting a little eager too, because the next game they got's against Boise State. And I ain't trying to write off nobody, but I'm just saying, look, if Penn State gets this game and you get Boise State, I think you rolling, and I think that's what they need. I think that's the chip on their shoulder. I think it'll kind of motivate them. Not only is SMU in a damn horrible situation, being that cold, I know it's going to play a little bit of a factor. It's got to. Penn State money line 27-17. That's how I'm feeling. I could see SMU having a worse game. 17's benefit of the doubt.
SMU, I love the way they've shocked college football. I love the quarterback, Jennings. Them elements just going to be too much, man. 14 degrees. Got 2 words for them. Good luck. I got Penn State winning this one by 2 possessions.
I agree.
31-10.
Okay. I'm thinking. I think it'll be an interesting game. I think this will be one that SMU will have to learn from going forward. Bring an extra jacket. What did BK say before Mizzou? Bring your Columbia jackets. Let's talk about Clemson and Texas. This one's at 3 o'clock. I thought this would be your primetime matchup. It's a little interesting. Spread is insane. 12.5-point spread. Oh, my God. Is this even a college football playoff game? I mean, I know it happened with Clemson and Georgia, but look, this is the ACC champions. All right, whatever. Minus 470 on the money line. I get that a little more. The total at 50 points. Here's why I'm worried about that. Here's why I think the public is split on that as well. You got questions on Quinn Ewers, on the health, on the mobility, just on that overall ankle. What's he going to do? Is he going to be able to be reliable? You even got people wondering, is he going to play the whole damn game? I think he will. I think he's their lock at quarterback one. I don't think they're having much questions yet. Now next year, different story. But I do think you'll see some type of like supplementation. You'll see Arch Manning get in and out, some special looks, some packages. If they need a run with a quarterback, I think that's the one that you're going to go with, not the one that's banged up that you're going to have to, hope keeps going throughout the season. Texas defense, obviously really tough. I think their passing game's underrated. I mean, obviously they're going to need a perfect day, but I've been enjoying Club Nick and the Club Nick Express. I don't think it's going to have much of an impact. I got Texas money line. This is a crazy prediction, but guess what? I think I could have it on this one. 35-17. A whooping.
I think if Quentin Ewers is healthy or if he has to come out the game and Arch comes in, I think Texas will be fine. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be close. I think
Right.
Dabo Swinney had that team motivated and prepared for what Texas is going to try to do. Dabo Swinney has played in a number of big games, so I think it'll be a good one. I got Texas winning this one 24-20.
Okay. So fade the spread, the Clemson plus spread, because I think it is crazy. I can see it happening, but that's some value right there. It's a damn near 2 touchdown spread they're giving to you at Pick'em for a college football playoff. I mean, it's a good eye. We got Maurice in the chat saying bet Clemson for the hell of it, horns down. It's funny. Got Tennessee and Ohio State. Let's talk about our final college football playoff matchup. And you know what? It could be the toughest. Maybe that's why it's a 7 o'clock game. I thought Clemson and Texas was your biggest brands, biggest teams, but this could be your most competitive game. Public is loving Tennessee +7 spread. Obviously, 7 p.m. kickoff. I wanted to tell you about that. Totals at 46. Public loves that. I love it too, honestly. Ohio State heavily bet. And it's interesting, right? Because they're fresh off an L to Michigan. Also, not the biggest Ohio State kind of sore, but they've been trying to get that run game going. They've been trying to utilize that transfer in Quinshon Judkins and justify that move. In Tennessee's run defense, I think, could cause a lot of issues with that game plan, or at least with that hope. And here's the last thing. Now, it really could go one of two ways. I think it's a little bit too much pressure. I think Ryan Day, his seat's hot as hell. Hot as hell. I mean, look, I'm not saying he's going 100% get fired if they lose this game, but I think it's a question. I think it's an issue. Their AD, I believe, got on and said he's fine next year, whatever the hell. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it until I see it. I think they have some serious questions. The Buckeyes got about as much pressure as they've had in a hot minute. You lose to Oregon, you lose to Michigan again. I know you're happy about that, but if you lose to Tennessee, especially in a college football playoff in the first round, I just don't know. I think my safest pick for a better go over 46. I think both of these offenses can score. They're obviously both past that 35 point per game mark. And I know it might confuse a lot of people because those defenses are supposed to be top 5 defenses in the country. I just think you might have a little bit of a shootout here. And 46 is low enough where if both teams score 24, you covered. Or, right around that at least. If I have to lean and pick, I'll go Tennessee. I'll shake it up. I've been picking favorites all weekend. This is the only underdog I'll lean on. And I'm barely leaning on it. I ain't putting no pressure because I'm feeling like I'll fall over and tumble. Safe bet over 46. I'll go Tennessee 27-24.
You say Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee. I'm feeling I think the pressure might cook them. I don't know.
I'm agreeing with you on this one, man. I like Tennessee. I think Nico will make enough plays throwing the ball to be able to get Tennessee to win this game. I think Josh Heupel's going to put an excellent game plan together against that Ohio State defense. But the key is Dylan Sampson, man, the boo boy from Dutchtown High School. He has been playing out of his mind all season long. If he can get things going and they can get him playing at the level he's been playing at all season, I think it's just going to be too hard for Ohio State to be able to win this game. And then you got, their receiving core is loaded with Thornton and White and McCoy and those guys. They got good size. And then on defense, man, they're not a great defense, but they're solid. And they got one of the best pass rushers in the country and Pierce, who's probably going to be a top 10, top 15 pick. I think he can give Will Howard a lot of problems, who was not really that mobile.
No.
So, and like you say, man, Ryan Day got a lot of pressure on him. He loses this game, man. I would hate to see him walking through the building at Ohio State come Monday. So I'm going to go with Tennessee too, man. I'm going to go with Tennessee 27-20. 17.
Two possession, double-digit spread out here. That would be a huge win for Hype on the Tennessee Volunteers.
I like Josh Heupel, man.
It's a good program. He played quarterback at Oklahoma, huh?
Yep.
Interesting. He's got a lot of praise around him. Anytime Peyton Manning is saying good things about you, you're in the right spot. If the sheriff is giving you flowers, I think you know a thing or two about a thing or two. Let's run through these comments real quick. Everybody talking about their picks. Marie saying Notre Dame walks them. He's got Penn State. Oh, we got a question for you, G. I missed this. Bo knows. Question for G in the chat. Reading some of these forums, these guys, so-called insiders, are saying coaches are saying certain true freshmen are unable to develop, play better, or even get faster. True or not true?
Guys are so-called insiders are saying coaches are saying certain true freshmen are able to develop, play better, or even get faster. True or so? That's definitely not true. Definitely not true. You know, I think kids that come in that's early enrollees, they get ahead of the curve more than kids that come in the summertime. When you come in the summertime, man, you work out a little bit, and then fall camp is right around the corner, and that shit is moving 1,000 miles per hour. When you come in January or mid-December, you can kind of slow things down. Uh, Guys can get with their position coaches and kind of go over the playbook. You get with your strength coach, and you got some time to get your body developed going into spring ball. Then when you get spring ball, you get a lot of reps. And then when the summertime comes, you go back to your strength coach, and you're working out with the team, and you're doing player-led practices. Then going to fall camp, things are kind of slowing it down a little bit for you, and you can decompress and kind of be more comfortable. And it's almost like now I'm gonna say a veteran, but it's almost like you way ahead of the curve than those true freshmen that's coming in the summer. So I think that's true. Guys that come in the summer that play early, you got to be like a freak of nature, or you got to be coming from a program that runs it like a college program. It's too hard to be able to come in at that late of a time to be able to come and develop that fast. So I think when you see guys like Jeremiah Smith, he was an early enrollee. Ryan Williams, he was an early enrollee. So when you see guys like that, they're going to develop a little faster than guys that come in the summer.
Yep, makes sense. Lastly, we got Jay Woods in the chat saying something not right in Ohio State right now. Also think Tennessee fans going to show up in numbers. I've been seeing that a lot on Twitter. People talking about Checker the shoe. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I know it ain't gonna happen. Everybody's saying it ain't gonna happen, but imagine. I think that would be insane. We got one more comment we'll get to. Marie saying, "Gee, I think you dropped the heads up on wide receiver Will. That's the hill. Do you think he can start with all the new additions?"
Hey, you must have been paying attention to the episode, man. I see we had somebody coming from the ACC, and it was definitely Destin Hill, man. Let me tell you something, bro. I'm really high on Destin Hill. Been watching him since he was in ninth grade at Notre. This is a supreme talented player, man. And not only is he a talented player, he has the mental makeup. Hard worker. He's probably working out right now. He works out with the former New Orleans Saints receiver coach who won a Super Bowl with Sean Payton, Curtis Johnson, who everybody knows is one of the guru receiver coaches that was in the NFL. He works out with this guy 2-3 times a week. So he's gonna be fully prepared when spring ball comes and when fall camp comes. I anticipate Destin Hill, if he stays healthy, because he's coming off the torn ACL. But he's been cleared for about, I want to say 2 or 3 months now, so he should be good. He shouldn't have any issues with his knee. I anticipate him being a top 3 receiver in that room next year, and he's gonna have a lot of LSU fans happy that he's wearing that purple and gold next year.
Nostradamus G back at it again. Appreciate everybody that tuned into the stream. Please, before you go, hit a like button, throw us a subscription. We'll be live again. Instead of Monday, I'm going to have to do it Sunday. Christmas schedule. We're changing it up. Sunday, we'll do a little reaction after the college football playoff. No stream on Christmas on Wednesday. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, of course. And thanks for your time, G. Appreciate you hopping on, man. Go give him a follow at G_sports on Twitter or on X, whatever you call it. You know the platform. You know the drill. And yeah, y'all have a good one. This has been a Verdict. You got anything you want to say real quick, G, before I end it? I
I'm
want to
good, man. Merry Christmas, man. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. All right, y'all have a good one.